Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet the ripple stitch. It's a great one for baby blankets or if you want to make a slightly fancier washcloth. It's super simple to do once you get the hang of it. So without further ado, let's get started. So before we get going, I just want to remind people that I use American terms. I've popped a link to a conversion chart on my website for those of you that use UK terms, but really in this tutorial, all you need to think about is whenever you hear double crochet, if you're a UK crochet, then you just need to convert that and think treble crochet in your head. So this pattern is worked in multiples of 14. And then if you're a person that likes to chain 2 for your turns, then you add 2, or if you like to chain 3, then you just add 3 on. So that's 14 plus your turning chains. So that's either a turning chain of 2 or a turning chain of 3. In this tutorial, I'm going to be using a turning chain of 2 because that's what works for my tension. So you are going to make a slip knot and chain however many stitches wide that you want to go. For the ripple stitch, I like to use a hook one size up to the hook that I'm going to be working with for the main body of the blanket, because sometimes it can be just a little bit tight and pull your bottom edge in slightly. So I'm using double knit yarn in this case. Now for my starting chain, I'm going to use a 4.5mm hook. So I'm going to chain for this tutorial just a small sample. So I'm going to chain 28. So you go away and chain however many you want, and then I'll meet you back once we've done our starting chains. Right, so I've chained 28 for my sample on the larger hook, and now I'm taking the work off the hook, and for the 2 turning chains I'm going to swap to my smaller hook. Just remember, if you like to chain 3, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to add 2 chains for the turn. Loose, 2. So because I work 2 chains for my turning chain, I am going to work a double crochet into the 3rd chain from my hook. And although you can't see it yet, this is our first increase. And then into the next 4 chains, you're going to work a double crochet. One, 2, 3, and 4. So there you should have your starting chain and then 5 double crochets. Then into the next stitch we're going to work a double crochet together, or a double crochet decrease. So you yarn over, I'll talk you through the first one, yarn over and pop your hook into the next chain, pull a loop through and only finish half of your normal double crochet. So you should have 2 loops on your hook. Then you yarn over again, pop your hook into the next chain along, pull up a loop, and then you will pull through 2 and then yarn over and pull through all 3. And what that does is that makes 2 double crochets into 1, so you're creating the early stages of your dip in your ripple. So again, next stitch is also a decrease, so yarn over and pop your hook in the next chain, pull up and only yarn through 2, yarn over and pop a stitch into the next chain along, and then again pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 3. So what you've done there is you've decreased, and if you let your work sit nicely, it will want to flick up this end. Then the next part of this pattern is just 4 double crochets in the next 4 chains, just like we did earlier. 1, 2, 3 and 4. This first row is pretty crucial because once you've got your foundation row done, then you can slightly see the pattern on the next row. So can you see we've got our 2 decreases and then 4 double crochets. Now our next 2 sets of stitches are going to be increases, and that basically just means that you put 2 double crochet in the same chain. So you are making 2 stitches out of 1 chain. So yeah, 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And then in the next chain along, we're going to do exactly the same. So we're going to put 2 double crochet in that 1 stitch. And what we're creating here is the hump of the ripple. So we created our trough in the first decreases, and now we've created our hump. It won't be really visible until the next row. So the next set of stitches is again 4 double crochet in the next 4 chain stitches. 1, 2. This is the fiddliest bit of the pattern. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're back to our decrease. So the basic pattern repeat in between on the main part is your 4 double crochet decrease, 4 double crochet increase, with an increase at each end that becomes more visible as the pattern goes on. So now that we have done our 4 double crochets after the increase, we're going to now do another set of 2 decrease stitches. So yarn over, pop your hook into that chain, pull up a loop, but only then pull through 2. Don't finish off your double crochet. Next, exactly the same, yarn over, pull up a loop, but only pull through 2. Don't finish that double crochet off, and then you yarn over and pull through all 3 stitches to decrease 2 stitches into 1. And then for the next, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to yarn over, pop our hook into the next chain along, but only pull through 2 loops. Yarn over and only finish half the stitch. And then when we've got 3 loops on our hook, we pull through all 3. If you need a more in-depth tutorial into any of these stitches, I will link a beginner's crochet tutorial list. So then after the decreases, again, it's 4 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. And then this is when the increase becomes more obvious. So in the last stitch, you're going to put 2 double crochets. So it wasn't obvious at the beginning of the row that we were doing an increase, but at the end of the row, it is much more obvious that you are doing 2 double crochet into that final chain. That can be a little bit tight to work. So when you do your chain at the beginning, that's why it's quite handy to use a bigger hook. It just gives you a little bit more give. So there we go, that's our first row. The ripples aren't really obvious yet, they kind of come in the second row. So to start our second row, we are going to chain 2 or 3 if you prefer, and turn our work. And then we're going to work back along following the same principle. So it's an increase, crochet 4 stitches in the next 4 double crochets, and then a decrease. So after you chain 2 and turned, you pop your hook back in the same stitch that the chain was coming from, so you're not missing a stitch. Yarn over and finish off your double crochet. And can you see there you have your increase? It's not super visible, but once you carry on more of the work, it will become second nature. So then into the next 4 stitches, we're going to pop 4 double crochet. Three, 4. Then we're going to do a decrease, so yarn over and pop your hook into the stitch below, yarn over and pull through 2. Remember not to finish off that stitch, and then repeat the process for the next stitch along. And once you've got 3 loops on your hook, you pull through all 3. So again, just once more, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then pull through all 3 to decrease 2 stitches into 1. Then it's your 4 double crochet into the next 4 stitches. And then we're going to work our increases. So an increase is just 2 double crochet in 1 stitch. It's as simple as that. So you are increasing 1 stitch in the row below and turning it into 2 on this row. And it's a set of 2 increases. So your next stitch, you pop your increase into that stitch 2, and then double crochet in the next 4 along. And then what you can start to see once you get in the hang of it is you will recognize when you're coming up to a decrease, because you will see the decrease from the stitch below. Can you see there you've got 2 stitches turning into 1? So I know that the stitch before the decrease is the one that I need to start my decrease on. So this is our decrease set because we've done our 4 double crochets. So we're going to do 1 decrease and 2 decreases. And then we're going to do 4 double crochet into the next 4 stitches along. Now in this last stitch, I want to show you how to change colour, because if you can see on this sample that I've made, I have changed colours every 2 rows. So I'm going to show you how I change colour. If you want to break the yarn, sew in and then change colour, that's absolutely fine too. So as we get, let me get my yarn ready, as we get to the end, so we have done our 4 double crochet, and this last stitch is worked into the turning chain from the row below. It's often quite tight to work into. Personally, I always end up turning my work on its end to work out where the other side of the turning chain is. I do things probably much more cat-candid than I need to. My chain was a bit tight, so you can see I've got both loops of the chain on there. So I work the first double crochet as normal. 1, 2, and then the second double crochet goes back in that same chain stitch. That's easier than the first one to get you into, and I yarn over and pull through a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, but then I don't finish the stitch. I try and maintain a decent amount of tension on that chain. I get my new yarn, if it wants to behave, get my new yarn, and I finish off the stitch with the new yarn. chain 2, and then what you want to do is 1, turn your work, and 2, break the yarn of the previous colour. We can sew those ends in later. So when I crochet a 2-rowed ripple, you've got your chain 2 here, and you've got the end of your yarn from your join. So I like to work over the yarn as I crochet because it saves me having to weave the ends in loads when I'm done. So I tuck the yarn along the crochet, so I'll work my double crochet into the same stitch as the first stitch, then my 4 double crochets. But as I work my 4 double crochets, I just hold the yarn over the top, and then what it does is it does half your sewing in for you. So that is our 4, and now we're on a decrease. So I will crochet over the end to the first decrease. So and then I pull the yarn out the way and carry on with the second decrease. Onto our 4 double crochets. So when you are crocheting, you are essentially repeating row 2 and row 3 over and over again until your blanket is as long as you want it to be. So we're on an increase now. Four double crochet, I'm going to show you that end stitch again because I made a mess of the last one because the chain was so tight. So we're on a decrease now. Three, 4, and you want to work 2 double crochet into that turning chain. And when you work into the turning chain, you want to pick up the front loop, and then you also want to, I mean, you can work into just the front loop if you want, but I like to work into both. I do like to make life difficult for myself. So there you go. So you're into this last stitch, you work 2 double crochet, 1, and 2, and then you chain 2, turn your work, and repeat again. And if you look now, you can start to see the ripple is forming nicely. If it's straight, it means you've done something wrong. So you need to go, this pattern's one where counting is important. So the basic pattern repeat, I'll pop up here. It's double crochet in the first stitch, 4 double crochets, 2 decreases, 4 double crochet, 2 increases, 4 double crochet, 2 decreases, 4 double crochet, and then in the last stitch it's 2 increases. So you always start and end on increases, and then however wide your blanket is however many loops you'll have. So you see that I did 28 stitches here, and it has given me just 1 bump in the middle. On this one I did 3 lots of 14, so 42, and I have 2 bumps in the middle. For a baby blanket, I used to chain somewhere in the region of 140 to 154 if I was using double knit yarn. So that's the basic pattern. I will pop a link in the bottom to a playlist of basic stitches if you don't know your increases and your decreases yet, just in case you need to refresh yourself. But aside from that, if you've got any questions, please just pop them in the comments and I'll do my absolute best to help you. And I hope to see you again for another tutorial soon. Bye.